Tito Ortiz was once the face of the UFC, a brutal, brash, and beloved light heavyweight who helped push mixed martial arts into the mainstream spotlight. He had the swagger, the championship belts, and even big business deals. From legendary rivalries with Ken Shamrock and Chuck Liddell to a dominant reign as champion, Tito symbolized success inside the cage. But behind that spotlight, his empire was slowly falling apart. Today, the lifestyle he once flaunted is overshadowed by money issues, political controversy, a nasty custody battle, and a legacy that's slowly slipping away. This video explores everything about Tito Ortiz's life now. His home, his money problems, the public drama, and the hard truth about being a retired fighter in a world that no longer sees him as a star. Once called the American bad boy, he ruled the cage. Now he barely rules his own life. What happens when the cheering fades away? Tito Ortiz was never just a fighter. He was a brand. Fans called him the Huntington Beach Bad Boy. He stormed into the UFC in the late 1990s. He looked like a walking billboard of chaos, with bleach blonde spikes, non-stop trash talk, and brutal ground-and-pound tactics. At his best, Tito was the UFC's golden ticket. He was a pay-per-view star with fans inside and outside the fight world. But underneath that loud personality was a history filled with trauma, abandonment, and a desperate need to feel like he belonged. Born Jacob Christopher Ortiz on January 23, 1975, his early life was rough. His parents were both addicted to heroin. By the time he was 13, he lived in motels, hunted for food, and saw many friends fall into gangs, or worse. Eventually, his mom kicked his dad out, and she raised Tito alone. But the emotional damage never healed. He once said that fighting was the only way he knew how to survive. Wrestling became his way out. He wrestled in high school and later at Golden West College before transferring to Cal State Bakersfield. But he soon found something even bigger. In 1997, he entered the UFC almost by accident. He took a fight on short notice as an amateur and shocked everyone with his power. He didn't even get paid, but fans were hooked. By 2000, Tito Ortiz was the UFC light heavyweight champion and defending the belt in style. He became Dana White's biggest star and the face of the UFC on Spike TV. Between fights, celebrity appearances, and intense feuds with Shamrock and Liddell, Tito became the UFC's first real villain. He would run into the Octagon holding signs from his punishment brand, scream into the mic, and throw middle fingers at fans. To some, he was a joke. To others, a hero. Either way, he was everywhere. But with the fame came tension. His relationship with Dana White collapsed. Tito felt he was underpaid and disrespected. In 2003, he stepped away from fighting for a year over contract problems. When he came back, the hype returned. But the wins did not. His 2006 loss to Chuck Liddell felt like the start of his downfall. Still, he could not walk away. He kept returning, chasing the past. As time passed, Tito looked more like a relic than a legend. Years of war in the Octagon left him battered. His body began to fail. He had neck fusion surgery, back problems, torn ACLs. In interviews, he tried to act positive, but fans noticed. His speech was slurred, his interviews rambling, and he seemed angry. This was not the confident Tito from before. This was a man who had given everything to the sport and had nothing left. By the 2010s, Tito was no longer a threat in the cage, but reality TV came calling. In 2010, he and his girlfriend Jenna Jameson, an adult film star, became tabloid gold. At first, they looked like a perfect celebrity couple, but that image quickly collapsed. They had twin boys together, but their home life was filled with fights, accusations, and police visits. In 2010, Tito was arrested for domestic violence. Though charges were dropped and Jenna took back her claims, the damage was done. Tito said she was addicted to painkillers. She said he was abusive. Their drama became TMZ headlines. By 2013, they had split, and Tito's name was no longer linked to fame, but to shame. Around this time, Tito tried to revive his MMA career. He signed with Bellator and beat Alexander Shlemenko and even Chael Sonnen. But his skills had faded. He fought slower and sloppier. His spirit was there, but his body could not keep up. Fans noticed he repeated himself, forgot names, and seemed confused in interviews. It was no longer funny. It was sad. Then he entered politics. In 2020, Tito won a seat on the Huntington Beach City Council. But his time in office was filled with chaos. He refused to wear masks, fought with other council members, and posted conspiracy theories online. He became a national punchline and quit just 6 months later, saying he had to protect his family. It was a disaster. He failed as a fighter, failed as a politician, and now he was failing to stay relevant. His Instagram turned into a strange mess. Gym photos mixed with angry rants and old fight videos. The comments were harsh. Fans mocked him or begged him to stop. The man who once headlined UFC fights now looked lost. Reports said his money was running low. During his prime, Tito made millions, but lawsuits, child support, and bad investments drained it all. He avoided money questions in interviews. Insiders said he was selling his stuff and pulling out of business deals. Still, he kept chasing that next payday. He still believed he was a star, but time was running out. By his mid-40s, Tito Ortiz's body had taken more abuse than most people can imagine. Years of brutal training and painful matches left him broken. Neck surgeries, fused bones, back pain, and nerve damage turned the once mighty fighter into a man who struggled to get out of bed. He once described mornings as a fight just to stand. "My hands are numb. My feet are dead. It takes 10 minutes to get up," he said. That is not a rich man's life. It is the life of someone who gave up his future for a sport that gave him no safety net. Over time, fans noticed his speech changing. He talked slower, forgot things, and seemed lost. Many feared he had CTE. Tito refused to get tested. He denied anything was wrong. He said he just took too many hits. It was heartbreaking. Still, he trained. In 2021, he boxed Anderson Silva and was knocked out in 82 seconds. Fans were stunned. Silva made him look like a beginner. Tito blamed the weight cut and timing. But deep down, he knew. He now spends most of his time in Huntington Beach, raising his kids and posting online, trying to stay in the public eye. His legacy is a mess. He helped build the UFC. He drew crowds, but he also stayed too long, burned bridges, and became a forgotten figure. Privately, Tito has said he is scared of the future, scared of brain damage, scared of being forgotten. That is the saddest part. He once ruled the cage. Now he is just trying to survive. His personal life fell apart as fast as his career, and the worst part was the custody fight for his sons. His relationship with Jenna, once praised, became a war zone. They once smiled on red carpets, but now their story was one of police calls and court fights. After Tito's 2010 arrest, he claimed Jenna had a drug problem and that he never hurt her. Jenna gave emotional interviews, saying he was emotionally abusive and that she was a fit mother. This was not about headlines. This was about two boys stuck in a nightmare. Tito got custody, but it cost him. "I'm trying to raise good men," he said. But the world is watching us fall apart. The court fights drained him. The lawyers, the investigations, the fees. He used to make hundreds of thousands per fight. Now he was spending it all on legal problems. Fans who once saw him as a hero now saw a man crumbling under the pressure of fatherhood. At home, he was angry. Sources said he was depressed. This was a new kind of pain. He was not just a fighter anymore. He was a father who had to tell his kids why their lives were in the news, why their mom and dad were enemies, and why his name was no longer a proud one. Jenna was not helping. Her own breakdowns and drug issues stayed in the headlines. Tito tried to keep the peace, but the damage was done. In interviews, he said he stayed for the kids, that he wanted peace, but his words felt tired, like a man who no longer controlled the story of his own life. This was not how anyone thought the UFC's golden boy would end up. Not divorced, not forgotten, not buried in court drama. But this was the new fight, and it was even crueler than anything inside the cage. Here is the continuation and full expansion of the original script, keeping the exact same word count, using simple English, adding full punctuation, and absolutely no dashes as you requested. In 2020, Tito Ortiz made a surprising move into the world of politics. As public anger and confusion grew during the pandemic, Tito saw a door open. He ran for city council in Huntington Beach, presenting himself as a local hero who would fight against government overreach. He promised to defend freedom, stand against mandates, and clean up the city. To some residents, he was the right man at the right time. To others, he was just a former fighter trying to play leader during a crisis. Still, Tito won the election and was named mayor pro tempore. That meant he had real power. But within weeks, things went wrong. Council meetings turned into shouting matches. Tito refused to wear a mask, questioned health experts, and gave long speeches that confused many. In one viral moment, he said he stood for freedom, not the new world people were trying to force on him. The internet exploded. People mocked him. Memes spread. Late-night shows used his clips for laughs. Journalists said he did not understand the job. His fellow council members said he caused problems and did not prepare for meetings. City staff said they were receiving threats after Tito spoke out. Even his supporters began to walk away. They realized that being loud was not the same as being effective. Tito found himself surrounded. In June 2021, after just 6 months, he quit. He blamed attacks on his family. But the truth was clear. His run had failed. The comeback story had become another public fall. This chapter damaged his name even more. Younger MMA fans already saw him as a figure of the past. Now, people outside the fight world saw him as a failed politician, someone who could not finish what he started, someone who did not belong in that seat of power. The respect he once had was gone. The UFC stopped talking about him. Old fight documentaries skipped over his name. Podcasts made fun of him. All the while, Tito kept posting online. He wanted people to know he was still here, still strong, still fighting. But the cheers had vanished. At one time, Tito Ortiz made more money per fight than almost anyone in the UFC. But his financial life today is a warning. In the early 2000s, he was a top earner. He sold out arenas, got paid from pay-per-view deals, and created a brand. His company, Team Punishment, was everywhere. He had sponsors, a clothing line, and even tried launching his own gym and supplement business. But fighting does not come with a retirement plan. Many athletes believe the money will always come. Tito was no different. As the years passed, Team Punishment lost power. Sponsors left. Fighters moved on. His gym idea failed. The clothing line disappeared. People close to him said he made bad money choices. Others said he trusted the wrong people. Whatever the reason, the money stopped coming. At the same time, his bills were growing. Legal fees, court costs, taxes, surgeries. He was spending more than he was earning. He had to sell homes, let go of cars, scale back his life in quiet ways, from living large to just getting by. The saddest part is that Tito kept stepping back into the cage, not because he loved it, but because he needed the paycheck. Each return was billed as one final shot. Fans knew better. He was chasing something. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was his old name. Maybe it was both. The 2021 loss to Anderson Silva showed what many already knew. Tito did not belong in the ring anymore, but he could not let it go. Other fighters from his time found new paths. Randy Couture went into acting. Chuck Liddell did interviews and public events. Tito was stuck. His voice, once powerful, now hurt his chances. Brands and promotions did not want to work with him. News outlets could not trust him. Fans had moved on. Now, in his late 40s, Tito Ortiz lives in a world far different from the one he once ruled. His posts show workouts, motivational quotes, and sometimes political views. But it feels empty. The glory, the fame, the spotlight, all gone. What remains is a man who gave everything to a sport, only to be left behind. Tito once said that fighting saved him, but it is also what left him broken. His body has been ruined by years of brutal matches. Back when he was at his peak, he was unstoppable. He could slam opponents, throw vicious strikes, and take punishment like few others. But now, his body is falling apart. In the early 2000s, he had serious spine problems. He had surgery in 2003 for a herniated disc that caused constant leg pain. That was only the start. Over the next 20 years, Tito had more spinal surgeries, neck fusions, and even major knee repairs. He always said he would come back stronger, but people could see the truth. He moved slower. His balance was off. He lost the sharpness that once made him dangerous. More worrying are the signs that his brain might be damaged. He has admitted to numbness in his hands and feet. "Some days, I cannot feel my fingers," he said. "My neck clicks when I turn. I cannot sleep without pills." For most people, this would be a signal to stop. But not for Tito. Pain was normal to him. He kept going. Even more troubling were the signs of cognitive decline. In interviews, he slurred his words, repeated himself, and forgot key details. Some videos went viral, not for what he said, but how he said it. Fans started to ask if he had CTE, the brain disease that has hurt many fighters and football players. Tito laughed it off. He said people just wanted him to fail. But those close to him were concerned. His thinking seemed cloudy. He got names wrong. He often made statements that did not make sense. At public events, he seemed lost. He has also struggled emotionally. He has spoken about depression, about feeling forgotten, about giving his life to a sport that moved on without him. "I gave everything," he said in a recent interview, "and now it is like I never existed." That is the cost of being a pioneer. Fighters today get better deals, more protection, more praise. Tito's generation gave everything and got very little back. Today, Tito Ortiz lives between two worlds. On the surface, he is still fighting. Not inside the cage, but online, on social media, in his own mind. But behind the gym selfies and positive quotes, he seems alone. He lives in a small house in Huntington Beach, a far cry from the luxury life he once showed off. The fancy cars, the big nights out, the big watches, all gone. Now he trains alone, posts memories from the past, tries to hold on to the days when he mattered. Instagram is now his stage, the last place where he feels like a star. But even that is confusing. One day, he is pushing work ethic. The next day, he is angry at the world. He blocks anyone who questions him, shares praise from fans, and stays trapped in a space where he is still the champ. He does not get calls from UFC anymore. No events, no commentary, no brand deals. Young fans do not know his name. Or if they do, they only know the headlines, not the titles. He is not like Bisping or Cormier on TV. He is not acting like Rampage or Randy Couture. He is not coaching like Matt Hughes. He is just there. Sometimes he teases a return. Maybe bare knuckle. Maybe celebrity boxing. Most of the time, it does not happen. And when it does, it is a disaster. Like the Silva fight. He says it is not about money. But with medical bills and no income, what else could it be? Even more sad is how much he misses being loved. In interviews, he talks about the old days, about the cheers, the fans, the spotlight. He talks like he is still there, like it all just happened. That kind of thinking used to be inspiring. Now it feels like someone stuck in the past. His sons, now teenagers, are his main focus. He shows up for their games. He tries to be there. But they are growing up in a world where Tito Ortiz is not a legend. He is just their dad. That change is hard, going from a myth to a man. Tito Ortiz helped make the UFC what it is today. That is a fact. Before the names like Conor McGregor and John Jones, Tito was headlining cards. He was filling arenas. He was selling the sport. But now, his place in history is unclear. Some remember him, others do not, and many only know the scandals. The UFC rarely brings up his name. People talk about Hall of Fame honors, but nothing happens. Dana White talks about other stars. He avoids Tito, or jokes about him. The truth is, that relationship is broken.